We are here at Youngblood's Natural Care Center and Massage. It's east of Indianapolis. It's probably like a half an hour or so outside of Indianapolis. I've never actually been out here. It's a cute little small town. And this is our first time doing international dog sports dog diving. So they have very similar rules to NAD, but they have a couple of changes for some of the events that are done. So we just did about an hour and a half ago Eclipse, which if you speak NAD, that's basically AR or air retrieve in the NAD world, but it's basically the dog is getting a bumper that is suspended 2 feet off of the dock. So 1 foot if you're a lap dog, or basically shorter than 16 inches, but in the open class or over 16 inches, they're getting that bumper suspended over 2 feet over the dock. And he did pretty well. He got 13, which is his favorite number. Big Taylor Swift fan, so of course he probably got that for her. So it was great. I was a little bit nervous that maybe he wouldn't see the bumper, since it is a different bumper than he's used to seeing out there over the water, but he seemed to understand the game right away, and was able to get that couple of grabs. He got, I believe, 3 grabs total. We started at 11, so 11, 12, 13, yeah. 3 grabs. My gosh, the heat is getting to me. It is a very hot day here. It is, my car is rating 92, but I think with the heat index, with the humidity, it's probably getting close to or over 100 out there. So we're actually taking a little AC break in the car. I just ate some lunch, kind of rehydrated. The dogs are taking a nap now that the AC is on. I might actually move Noah and a crate that I brought into the building. It looks like they've got other dogs in there, but he's a little bit more sensitive to the heat than Finn is, so I do want to make sure that I'm protecting him and not putting him in danger. Having him in the car, even with the AC on in here, I just think he might be more comfortable inside. So I'm probably going to move him before the next splash. And then the distance jump for NAD, that's called Horizon for IDS. So it's basically the same idea. You're throwing a toy into the pool for your dog. Your dog is jumping as far as they can, or at least is, you know, jumping into the water and then swimming out to get the toy. They don't necessarily have to retrieve the toy, but the goal of the game is to get as far as they can. And similar to NAD, they measure where the dog lands by the base of their tail. So some of these competitive dog diving sports, they'll measure it from where the nose is landing in the water, but a lot of them do the tail base. It's the easiest to eye for the judge, but for the nose, you'll see at professional or like the very high up competitive dog diving that they'll actually have an overhead, like a bird's eye camera down on the pool to really make sure that they're getting the right measurement on the landing. So there are a couple of techniques. A lot of people like to have their dog chase or track the bumper or toy. So that basically means that they're trying to either land on it or catch the bumper in or toy in the air. That helps you get some extra distance on those distance jumps, but it is a more nuanced kind of thing to teach a dog. For Finn, we worked very hard on getting him to do that, and he's just started to track and catch the bumper. So we'll see if he's able to pull something like that off today, and see how his distances are. He really is just signed up for 1 Horizon jump, because we went for the what they're calling Tequila Sunrise. So instead of hard charger, which would include the 3 events that NAD does, which is hydro dash, air retrieve, and distance jump, this is kind of the same idea where you're at least entering your dog in one of each of those events, for the specialty events, which is like the air retrieve or the hydro dash, you only get one entry. But for this one, if you wanted to do multiple horizons or distance jumps to try to increase your score, you can do that. And then basically if you do all 3 events, you can compete for a separate category. So for this event, they're calling it the Tequila Sunrise, which is fun. So they didn't post what their kind of scoring would be, and that's to prevent what they call sandbagging. And if you're not familiar with sports or dog sports in general, sandbagging is basically having your dog underperform to get a prize, so probably a lower down in the tier prize, but kind of have them not do their best just so that they can get a prize. So I think that's good of them to do that. There are a couple of other things that I like about this dock. This is my first time here, and the energy, there are a lot of, it seems like regulars or people who are local and come to this dock very often, so that's really fun. Something I really like that I wish I saw more at NAD events, and I think they're going to do it at regionals this year, but a walk-on song for the dog. I think that's really cute. A lot of people will do a song that has their dog's name in it, or a song that's special to them and their dog. So it's really fun to hear everyone's walk-up songs, and unfortunately I can't play them since it would be copyright infringement and whatnot, but it's really fun. It really helps like bring up the crowd and get everyone pumped for the dog and cheer them on. So I think that's really fun. They are pretty full today. They're doing about 43 to 47 splashes per event for Horizon, which is the distance jumping. So we are doing a lot of kind of sitting and waiting. So I'm hoping, it looks like they took a break to do a little potluck lunch, which is nice, give people some time. I went over to, they have a local business called Dairy on Wheels here, and it's basically an ice cream truck, so I got myself a little Bluebell ice cream cup, which is, it really hit the spot on a day this hot, so that was nice. So I'm kind of chilling in the car, but I'm hoping they're gonna start the debrief and roll call for the next splash soon, so that we can get ready for that one and get him in the pool again and get him cooled off a little bit. I think right now he's pretty tuckered out, so hopefully he's enjoying his nap, but I'm hoping we'll have some fun to be had. I'll come back and talk a little bit more about the way that they do their version of Hydro Dash, but I'll show you guys some more dock diving before that, so stay tuned. is about 1:50 in the afternoon, and they're about halfway through the second horizon splash, and it just started pouring. It sounds like there might also be some lightning in the forecast, so I think everyone's taking shelter, and we're gonna wait for things to settle down a little bit before we get back on the dock. But man, that came out of nowhere. It really will teach you, living in the Midwest, you have to be on your toes pretty much every day. This might be even more than what I've seen in Florida when I was living in Florida. But yeah, taking a little break is kind of nice. I stood out in the rain for a little while because it's so hot. It's still hot out there, but nice to have some water falling from the sky momentarily at least. So taking a little break, and then we'll get back to the action. Velocity is a speed swim event, so in this game the handler throws the toy. For lap dogs, the small dogs, they need to throw it beyond the 29-foot mark in the pool. For open class, it's the 36-foot mark that they need to throw it across. The judge will tell you if you are good to start. Time starts once the dog leaves the dock, and then time stops once their nose either passes, for a lap dog like this, the 28-foot line in the pool, or for the open class, the 35-foot line of the pool. For lap dogs, they start on the dock between the 3 to 4 foot mark, and for open class dogs, they start between the 5 to 6 foot mark on the dock. Your dog is given 2 official rounds of this, and then they take the fastest score as your official score for it. If the toy placement is off, the handler is allowed 1 reset per swim. So just in case you don't throw it effectively enough, you do get another shot at it. Oh my gosh, y'all. I'm dog tired. Today was a really long day. Like I showed, it rained, and then it just took a very long time to get through all of these competitors. Very amusing, but a really long day. Hot day. I think these dogs and I were ready to go home, so I am going to close it out a little bit more at home, but I want to start driving because it's 8:30 already, and I've got a little bit more than an hour and a half to get home, so I will catch back up with you back at home. Okay? Hey, so we're back from the Youngblood's Tequila Sunrise dog diving competition. Apologies I wasn't able to finish it out there. Again, it was a really long day. Like I was saying previous in this video, there were a lot of things that I really liked about how this event was run. At the end of the day, they did have an award ceremony, which was pretty fun. Pretty much in every division for both the lap, so the small dog, and the open classes, they had first, second, third. Same with our legend dogs, which are dogs who are over the age of 8 years old. So that was pretty cool to sit and watch everyone get their awards. Unfortunately, Fionn didn't walk away with an award from that event, but again, still fun. We got our little participation ribbons, and I looked over on the International Dog Sport website the other day just to see what his scores were, and kind of found out a little bit more about how they score things for them. I'm used to NAD, which is basically one jump or splash equals 1 point towards a title. IDS, or International Dog Sports, does it different, which is interesting and new for me. And that kind of made me decide that maybe I would do a video kind of going over some of the organizations for dog diving to help people who are maybe considering this sport for their dog and actually competing in this sport, which organization might be best for them, or at least just kind of a rundown of the organizations and how they operate somewhat, based on my experience and then some of my understanding from research. So I'll include that hopefully later or soon. And then one of the things that I guess I didn't think was maybe the best relating to the event, instead of the Hydro Dash, so a sprint kind of trial, a sprint swimming trial, they do it a bit different. They don't hang their toy from a rig. What they do is they have the handler on the dock toss a toy out in the pool. And for lap dogs, it needs to be at least to 28 feet. That's where the timer stops once their nose crosses that plane. And then for the larger dogs at open class, it's 35 feet. And unfortunately, that created somewhat of a challenge. I believe in their rule book, it does state that for every trial or every iteration, the handler can have the option to toss it out again. But what this dock did was they allowed people to, if they wanted to, just have basically the pool nets, they would place the toy at the correct spot beyond that either 28 or 35 foot mark. And then unfortunately, a couple of the rounds when I was watching, and even with Fionn when he did his, the wind or just the ripples in the pool caused the toy to float back. So before the 28 foot mark or before the 35 foot mark. And at that point, if you've already released your dog, there's not really much anything that they can do. And they had to have a redo essentially, which can be pretty exhausting for a dog. They do get 2 runs every splash or jump. But it's already, they're swimming as fast as they can out to the 35 foot mark or the 28 foot mark. And that's a lot of work actually on a dog. So, it's enough for work on a human. So that was a little bit of I think a downside. It sounds like kind of a new game for them, or at least the way that they're playing it this year. So they are still, looking potentially for feedback and kind of the data that they get from this year to decide if they want to keep that game that way or they want to change it in some way. But yeah, that I think was a little bit of, could be some improvements there. But it can't be perfect. And actually Fionn really liked that game. He has a hard time with Hydro Dash with the bumper suspended over the water. He doesn't always see it. So it was kind of nice that he watched me throw his toy into the water. I think that got him excited and he was able to see where it was. It's a little bit more not based on intuition when you have something like a toy suspended over the water, something different. So overall, enjoyed our time over there. I think we'll consider doing their next event. I think next event they're going to do 2 days. So we'll decide if we want to do just 1 day or both days, whatnot. They're only an hour and a half away from us, so not as big of a drive as some of these other events. But again, I probably would want to bring the camper and stay somewhat closer so we don't have to drive back if we do decide to do 2 days. But yes, I think next on the horizon, yes, I'll make a little video to explain some of these organizations to help other people understand who again might be interested in learning more about the sport or are considering having their dog actually compete in the sport. So I'll include that. And then from there, we've got a couple of trips coming up. So I'm hoping I'll get to be able to record some more and share my adventures with my pups. So I guess we'll see you guys on the road. Bye.